Chapter 7. My Home Far Away from Home. By accident, I had stumbled upon our rooms. The corridor that housed them stretched on for what seemed like kilometres, and every 10 metres there was a door on each side. I could tell that these had been added to the Ark by human hands. They looked nothing like the original alien design. Since the Ark had been an automated mining and storage ship for oxygen and water, having small crew quarters was unnecessary. Additionally, each door was different, like the doors you might have found on Earth's suburban housing developments. They were a mix of different colours and decorations, and some had numbers still painted on them. It was only when I noticed Icelandic writing on some of them I finally understood. These doors had been harvested from Icelandic homes, the ones destroyed and abandoned when the Ark arrived. That gave me chills. But we had more of Earth with us than I originally thought too. The transition between the alien-built corridors to the human-modified ones was abrupt. The alien corridors, smooth and uniform in some extraterrestrial metal, ended at a crude world and the human architecture took over. I wondered what was originally in this space, what had they modified, and what might have been done with the removed alien material. I didn't trust the human-added corridor either, but I could tell that the materials were different, and that might mean this new part of the ship was not supported properly. I was having visions of the whole thing tumbling around inside the ship with us in it, like a clothes dryer. My curiosity was greater than my fear, though, so I stepped forward, carefully watching for any loose plates of metal or cracking welds. As I strolled past the doors, I saw that each one was marked in black ink with a country name. I started to think that if this was the Enterprise for one of those old Star Trek shows, it would have a bronze plaque would be fixed to each door with a name engraved on them. But here, that would seem out of place, I guess. The Ark construction project shouldn't have wasted time and limited resources on personalised nameplates for the doors. Some of the signs even had little smiley faces dotting the eyes. One had a crude landscape illustration on it, as if the builder who had installed it had gotten bored with just writing names and decided to add a little flair. The builders had signed their names on some of them, scrawled and illegible, leaving a scant record of their contributions. There was one door that stood out most. The name of the country had been written neatly and clearly, but just beneath, an insult, "Murderous pigs!" was scrawled. The writing was jagged and rough, as if the writer was shaking angrily when they had wrote it. I wondered why it was there. Had the worker realised what the Ark was really for and had snapped, leaving a last jab at the people they thought were dooming the rest of the Earth? Otherwise, the doors were in no particular order, not alphabetical, not by continent or hemisphere. I guess they had been randomised so that the representative from Zimbabwe didn't have to walk the furthest on account of her country's name. My room was about 50 doors down. It was painted blue and had no lock other than the original handle installed on the door. I wondered where it had come from. Perhaps the apartment of a single guy, or a family home. The wood was dinged and knocked, telling a story that I would never know for sure. There was a scuff in the shape of a boot print near the bottom of the door. Whoever lived here had opened it once with a big kick, maybe while carrying heavy shopping bags, or maybe it was a desperate moment when the Ark came. It was my door now, so I grabbed the metal handle and barged the door open with my shoulder. This was how I opened doors. Mum never liked it. She told me to be more gentle, but she was gone. And by doing it this way, I was sort of marking my territory, if only ceremonially. What I found inside surprised me. The room was essentially a larger version of the bedroom I used to have on Earth. The wallpaper was the same, the posters on the wall were the same, and even the cupboards, bed and sheets appeared to have come from my old room. The carpet was the same dark red colour, and as I walked across, it even had the same feel to it. I felt a little bit of gratitude to Dr. Ghost and the team that had built the room. Everything was spot on, and for a moment I felt like I was at home, even without any windows. My suitcase sat at the foot of my bed. I considered unpacking, but there was no hurry. I had over 2 years to do that. I lay down on the very familiar mattress and stared at the ceiling. Once again, I was overwhelmed with loneliness. Everyone I had known was gone, and this place was the only remnant of the life I had had before. That it looked just like my home was almost worse. It felt fake and empty. A headache was forming at the front of my skull. I had the same stress headaches when I was at school. When I had started secondary, I was being bullied by a trio of boys. I think they only picked on me because I was there. Luck of the draw. It went on for months. My parents wouldn't remove me from school, no matter how much I begged. But I couldn't tell on the boys either, because I wasn't a tattletale. The headaches started then. I had to go to school. But by going to school, I knew I would be bullied. Of course, the bullying stopped right after my induction into the art program. Captain Amos's memories made sure I was not going to be bullied again. But they weren't stopping me from feeling lonely and sad that I had survived when my family didn't. I turned away from the ceiling and lay on my side. That's when I saw another door in the room. Finding out what was beyond seemed like a good distraction. It turned out to be nothing more than a simple bathroom with a shower cubicle, toilet and sink. It looked nothing like our bathroom back home. This one was basic, with just the essentials and no frills. Above the sink, a notice written in red lettering said, "Your daily water usage is restricted to 10 gallons. I sighed. I used to love long showers. Even though my room was just a clone, it was a pleasant surprise. I assumed we would be put up in dorms, sleeping on bunks, and I hated sharing a room. Eager to explore more of the Ark, I left my room, and in the corridor I was surprised to find the other 200 plus survivors of Earth. They were searching for their rooms, with some gathering in small groups to talk. Eerily, every conversation stopped as soon as I came near. I didn't quite understand the effect I was having. My scar might be a point of curiosity, but there had to be something else about me that attracted their attention. I couldn't put off talking to them any longer, even if I still didn't want to. "I can't believe they replicated our rooms," I said to the nearest group. I pointed into my room and tried to look incredulous. "I mean, how did they know what it looked like? Did they spy on us?" I asked. I wanted to get on their good side, without saying too much about myself. Besides, the people who made our rooms were dead now, and I could talk about them however I wanted without causing them trouble. The group nearest to me was made up of 5 children. I remembered who they all were from the introduction video. Ogwambi was to my left. He was from Uganda, tall and lithe with a shaved head. Just behind him was Ernesta from Italy. Her wide eyes beamed from behind her straight brown hair. She was wearing a flower-patterned dress and makeup. I wondered what she had been doing when she had been picked up to be teleported onto the Ark. She was dressed so nicely. Koila from Australia was directly opposite me. I knew what he had been doing when he had been teleported aboard. He was dressed in pyjamas. He had a long, dirty blonde hair and looked very tired. He yawned as I swept my gaze over the group. To my right were Bei and Koamalu from South Korea and Hawaii respectively. Koamalu was dressed in mismatched clothing, but that was understandable. Hawaiians were essentially a refugee race after the destroyer landed on the archipelago. Bei was wearing jeans and a t-shirt with a manga character on the front. The character was smiling and wearing a straw hat. I didn't recognize him. After my initial conversation starter, they just all stared at me. Then suddenly they advanced on me. Thank you for listening to this chapter from Stolen Futures. Please like or comment on this video and subscribe to The Eighth Plot so you don't miss out on the next installment of this book. Goodbye.